1. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to Ed Talk TV, Conversations Worth Having. I hope you had a fantastic weekend and that your Monday is starting off right. I say starting because we have a lot of international friends. The show is international. Yep, that's right. And so wherever you're tuning in from, welcome. Feel free to comment. We do a lot of work here in this hour. So comment and use the emotions. Go past the like, use the emotions because that gives you a little extra. That's likes were before 2018. We're all about 2018 is growth, so we want to step past the like. But feel free to comment. While you guys are tuning in, I'm going to go ahead and give you a little info about the show for those who are first timers, even if you're watching the replay. Let me tell you, replay viewers are huge because they're just like live viewers, right? They're here, they show up, even if it's later after the broadcast, they still show up and they engage. And that's the whole point of this show. Just like right here, watch this. So when you tune in live, I can do this. I can add your comments to the screen. How do I do that? I'm actually using a program called Ecamm Live. You can find it later over on the website. I have a show page that gives you info about the show, when it airs, which we go live 5 days a week. It's a lot of fun. And it also shows you the equipment that I use as well as the training that I offer for all of this. Lots of great stuff. So I'll put that in the links here below. Hey. And as you can see, we have our regulars jumping in now, which is awesome. So that's how I can put your comments on the screen. And that's why I encourage you to comment amongst yourselves as well as with me. And then today we have a special guest, which we'll get into that here shortly. But first, I like to tell you about the show. Then we'll have some random news and we'll go from there. April, welcome. Yes. And so that's kind of how the show goes. If you want to be a guest, you can head over to checkwithed.com after the show, or I even have now edtalktv.com. Either one that will work, but do that after the show, and I will drop in the comments here my Start Here page, which I'm going to type that in right now for you guys so you can see that, and I'll pin it to the top so that you'll have it for later. Whoops. And that is where you can find everything about me. That's where you can join the email list, you can get updates, you can learn more about the show and everything else that I offer. Start Here. Boom. There you guys go. So it's really cool. That's how it can go. And then down here I have my device, because if you notice, I can actually pin, if I get it correct, I can actually pin the comment there. So a lot of this show is about, well, it's about conversations worth having, okay? So we talk about business, tech, and the user experience. On top of that, though, I do show you a lot, or at least explain a lot of what goes on with the show, with what we're doing, why we do it, things like that, because those are still conversations worth having, right? You're still curious, you want to know what's going on, and be able to learn from what we're doing here, right? So that's about the show. Again, continue to comment with each other, check in with each other, ask questions, even if you're watching the replay. I make sure to come back and follow up with all of your comments as much as possible. And then also what's cool is, you may not realize this, but by doing the work, which means commenting, even on a replay, even if you're watching a replay, the simplest comment of just saying, hey, catching the replay, I liked what you said about XYZ, that guest was awesome, can we have them back? Things like that. Just simple comment, you guys, makes a huge difference, and it will take you to the next level. Now, the reason I say that is because there are going to be people that browse through this Facebook Live later. They're going to browse through the comments, and whatever you say in the comments is going to pop out at them, right? And so that's why I say go past a like actually drop a comment, say hello, engage with each other, not only just me, but each other, right? And yes, perfect. Look at it. We got all of these friends joining. I love it because it's huge. It allows you to create community, right? It allows you to build your online presence. And so not just with my show, but with everyone's show that you go to, have that in mind, even if it's just a regular Facebook post. The whole goal for your online presence and building up your community is providing value, providing insight, and the only way you can do that is through the comments when you're watching someone's live. Of course, if you're doing your own live, then that's awesome, and you can do way more. But keep that in mind, so you'll hear me talking multiple times to you who are watching me live, as well as the replay viewers, because everyone counts and it's important. So, that being said, hopefully audio is good, and we will jump into random news before we jump on a call with our guest today. So, how many of you, even if you're watching the replay, watched the Super Bowl yesterday? Now, we won't get into too much, so don't change the channel yet. We're not going to go through and, talk about the game itself and like all the sports stuff. No. I'm just curious, how many of you tuning in live now watched the Super Bowl yesterday? And even if you just watched the halftime show with Justin Timberlake, specifically, let's just say that real quick, because that's the talk of the town right now. And I'm curious whether or not you enjoyed the halftime show. Now, I'll be honest, I did not actually see the whole show. I caught little bits here and there. Bots, news, weather, and sports. I'm out. Yes, April. So what has been going on, because I look at social media news all day long and try to, find things that we can talk about just to share on here and bring up. And this ties in, so don't change the channel yet. But when the show happened, when the halftime show happened, it was very long from what I could tell. And the tweets that I've seen today and the conversation, let's just go with that, the whole conversation about it today has been a lot. It's been pretty intense. I liked it because it was clean. Yep, clean, perfect. Okay. I'm just pulling on some of these comments here for you guys. Photo shoot for one of my clients, but I'm going to catch the replay. Yep. So no problem. Have fun with the photo shoot. Let us know how it goes, by the way, too. So with the halftime performance, there was a lot of action going on, apparently, and a lot of scene changes from what I heard. Again, we're not going to dive too deep into that, but what I wanted to get into is what's being referred to now as the selfie kid. Anybody know who I'm talking about, even if you're watching the replay? You don't have to know their name, but do you know what I mean by the selfie kid? So yesterday there was a part towards the end where Justin Timberlake actually went out into the crowd. Okay, guys, this is where I want to get that user experience. That's where I'm tying this in, okay? It doesn't matter what your status is, right? You're celebrity, average Joe, in between, whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is how you connect with your audience. And so you can love it or hate it. This is a talk show, right? So you can love it or hate it, what I'm about to say. But here's a quick example of the user experience and being able to connect with your audience. So Justin Timberlake went from down below where the stage was and hanging out, where security and everyone has it packed in safe, goes from there and totally goes up into the crowd, all the way up almost, and is hanging out. There's people on every side, right? He's going up the narrow staircase, still singing, still doing his thing, and then comes up next to this kid. Now, if you haven't seen it, you can always Google it and check it out later. But the point is that he went into the audience. He went into where the users are, right? In this case, we're going to say users. And so he was able to connect directly with them. He was one of them, right? He's no longer this celebrity out here in the middle of this huge stadium. He's now with you, the audience, hanging out. That is big. That's big. And that's kind of what I want you to relate Facebook Live to, is that it allows you to be right here with your audience. You're putting yourself out there, right? You're able to get connected. We can talk to each other live in the comments here. Even after, with replay viewers, I go through and hang out with the comments, and a lot of you guys do too, which is awesome. The other part of this, though, is not just how he went into the audience. It's about this kid who, so far, I haven't seen the stories say otherwise, meaning I haven't seen stories say that he's connected to Justin at all. But what's interesting is that this kid, had no idea that Justin was coming up, and he was not ready, right, to do a selfie. He was trying to he was like oh my goodness, he's like moving around with JT, and all of a sudden his phone wasn't working because he wanted to take a selfie, and then Justin stayed there and waited, and so they took a selfie. His phone blew up. And of course, this kid, I knew instantly when I heard that yesterday, he was going to be on Good Morning America. And apparently he was this morning. They had him on there. I don't know if they flew him out or not. I haven't caught up with that news. But they put him on Good Morning America with Justin. They had their story. The kid has had his phone blew up like 8,000 text messages, was it? Or 800? There was something crazy. Like literally everyone was blowing him up. That was one quick few seconds, right? That's how Facebook Live can work for you and your business. That's how putting yourself out there works, right? Let me just catch the comments real quick. Enjoy coming here is because you recognize and engage with your audience. Oh, thank you, April. I appreciate that. Yes. Shout out as an awesome content provider any day. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. So yes, that's what I want you to, God, I love it when the experience goes viral. Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah, he said he gained over 8,000. Perfect, Paula. Yes. 8,000 followers. That's what it was. His phone was blowing up like crazy, but he gained over 8,000 followers. Now, again, you guys, this was just a random moment that we know of right now that he just literally got on camera, got up to this kid. This kid went viral like that. Kid wasn't planning it, right? Like you guys have a step up. Like you can plan right now for your success. How do you do that? You take the little things like your idea and you start researching. You start tuning into broadcasts like this. You start commenting. You start showing some emotions. You start sharing, right? You start appearing as a guest. You start sharing what you know. Like all of that builds up to that big moment. And being ready is just knowing your topic that you want to talk about. In this case, right? Because we kind of moved on from the kid. He didn't really talk until the next day. So keep that in mind and really know about that. Anyone want to help me go viral? Yeah, April, right? So that's really what I want you to think about is you have the opportunity, the free opportunity right here in your hands to go live. And if you're not ready to do that, then comment. Not just on this broadcast, but anybody's broadcast, right? The key is to provide value. And that is what you have to make sure that you do. It's not about how many likes you can get. It's not about how many followers you can get. That all comes later. That's not what you need to be worried about. Because that's kind of like quick money, which doesn't really last. You want to be about the relationships. You want to build those relationships and build them over time. So real quick, welcome to all of those joining. I know you're probably just tuning in and replay viewers. Awesome. And I'm just catching up with the comments here. That's right. The more we share, the more we want quality. Yep. And here's the thing. By the way, when you guys start sharing, and I'm not just talking about this broadcast, I'm saying like yourself in the comments, in live broadcasts, all that stuff. Like the more you put yourself out there, and I will tell you I am an example of this right now in terms of it grows you. It puts your fear aside. It gets you out of your box. Like it's a game changer. It really is a game changer. And it really all starts. That's why I always say the magic happens in the comments because it all starts with commenting. Like I didn't just start this show overnight. This has been in the works for months. And prior to that, I was building up my audience by just providing value in comments, in Facebook groups, over on my page, all over. So understand that it takes a while to get here, okay? And that you can just start. You don't have to worry about all of this. This is all just extras. You just have to start. Love your shirt, Ed. You were born in Brooklyn. Yeah. I'm an East Coaster at heart, so I love New York. And I'm a California born and bred and love California, but I'm an East Coaster at heart. I love New York. So there's that. So that's your random news. So I love seeing all the comments. And note to self, provide value. Exactly. Love that. Look at that. You guys are awesome. You're on it. Replay viewers still comment and tune in because you're awesome. To soon regret inviting us to have conversations in the chat. Okay, so April, that is hilarious because I'll tell you guys this. the more conversations you guys have in the chat, I love it. It's great, and I don't want you to stop. Like, you keep doing that and have fun. But I will say that the more popular we get with this show, and I say we because we all are in this together, the more time it takes me to get through all of your comments. On average, I'm spending about an hour after this broadcast, ideally right after, going through and commenting and following up. See, Whitney, I got homework. Whitney is she's one of our viewers that is always tuning in, and she's always talking about how there's homework on this show. Like, that's just how it goes, right? Like, we have to implement something. We can't just always be absorbing the information. We got to be able to implement. And so my homework for this show is going through and following up with you guys. And I try to do my best. I will tell you, before we jump into today's guest, I will tell you that there's a trick through all of this when you go to comment, because Facebook does not make it user friendly. We're not there yet with commenting and notifications, because they have the Facebook app, the Facebook page app, the Facebook creator app now, and certain notifications, I don't know how it works, but certain notifications will pull you into certain app, which you can only then follow up through that app. It's very confusing, and sometimes it will show up on desktop but not on mobile. So if I miss anybody, apologies. I do my best. You can always tag the business page to make sure that I get a better notification than just going through the list there. So there's that. Yes, exactly. I will not forget the little guys. You guys we're like this. We're like this. There you go. So yeah, homework. Exactly, Kristen. Yeah, we don't mess around over here. We learn. We put things into motion. So, okay, let me get on my headset here, because we are going to call today's guest and bring them on, and I'll have them introduce themselves, and then we'll just jump into the content. So who's ready? Even if you're watching the replay, you can still comment, and let me go ahead and phone our guest and switch over our screens. It's exciting, right? Look at that. I love this part. Fingers crossed, audio and everything will work fine with Skype. Skype sometimes has some issues, so we'll see. This is the exciting part. Hopefully, it will work. I might have to recall. Ready? Yes. Love it. We got some people ready. Look, I can put 2 on the screen. Let's see. See, this is the anticipation. This is where it builds. Let me try it again. Yes, technology, right? Let's see if that works. That's weird. Okay. You guys can see firsthand. This is why I love doing it live, because you can see firsthand that we all have tech issues and that we can all go through these things together. Last week we had some crazy tech issues, which were not our fault, but it happens. I have audio. Go ahead and turn on your video. There should be usually a video down towards the bottom of your screen. The little white camera inside a blue button.
Okay.
Thank you guys for hanging out. Yeah, towards the bottom of your screen, there should be a little blue circle. Yeah, there we go. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Yay, I'm doing great. So before I let you introduce yourself here, I just want to let everyone know who's watching. Be sure to let us know if audio does cut out quite a bit. Sometimes Skype will have issues. We'll do our best to try to fix that. But we are going to jump right in. And can you also, I'm just going to look at April's comment here. Can you also bring people in using, I haven't tried that, April. I'll have to look at that. Great question. April asked if there's another option that I can use for this. I do a workaround, just so you guys know. If anytime Skype fails us, I actually have my little secret worker, which isn't secret if you guys have watched the show before. But yay! All right, so I will let you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience and let them know who you are.
Well, thank you so much, Ed, for allowing me to be on this amazing show. You know that I'm a semi-regular. I catch you as often as possible. This is just a great opportunity to connect with really, really cool people and to hang out with you, Ed, and Egg Talk TV. I feel like, I'm pretty special to be on this soon to be famous show, I'll be able to say I knew you back when, right?
I love it. I love it. I know it's so crazy. Like last week we had somebody say that we're international hit, and we had week before that we were dinner time, prime time. Well, it's not prime time, but dinner time show. So it's so much fun to see everyone's experience and just have this place here. I love it.
I do too. So well, I'm so glad that we're connecting, because I think a lot of the things that I do is definitely will be valuable to your audience as well as my friends that are joining us.
Yeah.
So I'm Karima Elamine of KarimaElamine.com, and I am a transition strategist, content creator, speaker, and organizational development consultant. And what I do is I help individuals and organizations go from where they are to where they want to be, with the emphasis on writing and how you engage people through writing, through video, but primarily writing. That's a really specific niche because I'm a writer, playwright, filmmaker, aside from the work that I do. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about is engaging content, really because I got a webinar coming up, and I just wanted to talk to your audience that's moving into my webinar on Thursday, and just kind of give some value and some ideas about how to write content that works,
Yeah, no, and I love that. And you guys, even watching replay, or even the replay viewers, make sure to comment and let us know, what questions you have around it too. Because even after the replay or after the show, what we'll be doing is I'll have Kareem put in her links to to her website and to her webinar, so that way you guys have it. But then also she'll be able to follow up with questions too. So
yeah, absolutely,
it's all how we work. So yeah, so let's jump into it. So let's talk about content that converts, because I know that I'll at least put up my hand, and those who are watching can put an emoji of some sort, because we need it.
Well, first I wanted to talk about, so content that converts is basically, depending on what you want to convert, and oftentimes, particularly in the space that we're in, Ed, is that they have a business, they have a blog, they have a hobby, they have an organization, they have a cause. You have something that you're doing that you want people to connect with, that you want people to move to the next level, take the next step. Yep. And oftentimes when we write, we don't think about how our writing influences people's perception of the call of action we have, how it influences what we're behind, how it influences what people think about our products, how it influences what people think about us. Because when have you ever, and say this is kind of funny, have you ever seen someone post something that was really good, but it was kind of, the clarity and the grammar was so bad you were afraid to share it because you didn't want anybody to think that you didn't know how to write? That's ever happened to you? Raise your hand.
Oh yeah, that's why I love doing video. I'll be honest with all you guys, all my blog posts are now video for the most part, because I don't want to sit there and work on my grammar. I know that I'm going to miss something, and it's just too much work for me. I'm better at this. This is me. This is us hanging out. So yeah, I totally get it.
And that's the cool thing about it, because video, though you have video, which is awesome, and I love video, and I'm moving more and more into doing live streams. However, even the caption that you write in your title is important in terms of converting your audience, because if you don't write a title. And so I'm going to talk about some things that you do wrong before I talk a couple of things that you do right, and you can get the rest of the webinar. But the things that a lot of I've noticed, and particularly on social media, because people forget, they think because it's social media, I don't have to write decent. I'm not saying you have to be a wordsmith, but you have to make it something. You have to be clear. You have to be, something that people can actually understand what you're saying. But some of the things that most of the time what I find, either you write too little or nothing, or you write too much. And so let me do with the other side. For those writers that came on here, you wax poetic. You know how you get there and you have this long, all this information, because I don't want anybody to not miss anything. Right. I got to try to tell you every single thing that you need. And cut it off. Yep. Stop. Social media is about quick snippets that are impactful and powerful. It's not about long, verbose, poetic, very well written, Pulitzer Prize winning articles on your Facebook feed. How many people can relate to that?
Yes. Replay viewers, share, let us know, how can you relate to that? And I will also add to that part about, I love being able to format my post in terms of maybe a sentence or two and then a line break. Like if it has to be longer, you got to have those line breaks, because otherwise if it's just one whole chunk of text, I'm probably getting ahead of the game here, but if it's one long chunk of text, I'm out. Like I just can't.
And that's what I was going to say. People turn off. I remember in my work when I used to have to present in front of like different audiences for funding, and I would get told, these are like high paying executives. They would tell me, my lobbyists, when I had to present for different things, put a lot of pictures with really succinct titles and information, because people don't like to read a lot of stuff. And so if you want to convert people, the first thing you have to do is you can make too much writing. If your writing is too long, if it's too wordy, if it's too descriptive, people just want something short and impactful. They don't want this long verbiage on your post. However, to the flip side, you have to learn how to write impactful, engaging one-liners.
Yes.
You have to become the king and queen of one-liners. I mean, those one-liners, you know, if you've seen them on your Facebook feed, it doesn't even look like something.
Yes, it does. And I mentioned a good thing here too. She said, I just redid my pinned Facebook intro. And that is a big one that I want you guys to understand too, is that pinned post on your business page. So you can see later mine above here. It has some specific instructions on where to go, what to do next. And I've changed it over time. It was originally posted in December. I've changed it over time to simplify and to be more direct. And so understand that that's an important piece of the puzzle if you have business pages, to have that.
Yes. And so that's on a writing piece. So I'm going to go back and forth between the writing and then what not to do. So another thing that we do in terms of not being able to engage is writing, not knowing your target audience. Or what you do is you write for everybody, everything, and you don't specify. And then when people read it, they don't know what you do, what you are, how you do it. It's so scattered that people are hard for them to connect. And in order for you to connect with people, you need to be able to connect directly to them. And most people have specific things that are part of their interest. And if you're not able to really succinctly tap into who your audience is, you're going to always leave people trying to figure out, well, what do they do? What are they trying to get me to buy? What am I trying to get? I'm like a yoga instructor. I think I heard this the other night, a yoga instructor that sells literature, that also spiritualist, that also, sells Girl Scout cookies. I mean, it's okay, but when you write, you can't write all about every single thing and every single post. You have to be able to delineate, what do I want to target? And I also talk about, I'm going to do this a little bit later, when you make that target because you have a plan of what you want to talk about to your specific audience or audiences. Does that make sense? Am I tracking with you guys?
Oh, yeah. And the audience, you let us know too, especially if you're watching the replay, like, are you picking up what's being laid down here? Because that's big. And for me, it's definitely about having a plan. It's all about a plan.
And so let me give you another thing that we do in terms of content that creates. We don't stand out from the crowd.
Yes.
What happens is that you see what everyone else is doing and you think, oh, that's working for them, so let me try it. We have to go a little bit deeper, figure out your own voice, post things, and trust me, it's going to be a while where some people won't connect. But over time, your tribe, the people that are connected to you, the people that will find value in what you have to offer, they will like the way you post. We really have to stop being a carbon copy. And that goes into my next one, trying to duplicate someone else. Oh, my God. When you write your content, I watch and I see people's content, and it's almost verbatim of what I saw on my feed 2 minutes ago. And I'm thinking, now, who's the originator and who's the copy? And you have to figure out how to make your own copy and write your own copy so that you'll be able to articulate who you are to your audience written. Does that make sense, guys?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys let us know in the comments, but I will say people are saying yes, people are enjoying this. Yeah, it is all about standing out, and just being, and that's why also I share a lot with you guys is when you're in these Facebook groups especially and you're sharing your business page, for instance, I like to use that as a quick example, is don't just drop the link because that's what everyone else is doing. You have to give a sentence or two about the why, like what's the story? What can I expect if I tap on that link? Like give me something that allows me to want to go find out more about you versus just having that link sit there with everyone else.
Okay, so another thing. So let me jump over to like websites or blogs.
Yeah.
And because, those are, when people go to your website, they go generally to our services page and your About Me page. After they find out what kind of services you have, then they want to find who is this that's providing the services. So let me first start with the About Me, the bane of my existence at times. Because, I do website content. I write for a lot of people. I've been writing their content for their websites. And what happens in your About Me is that we want to tell everything about our life in chronological order. And I'm always like, but it didn't happen then. It happened before. It's not about chronology. It's about impact. It's about those things that happen in your life that show the impact, that tells your story, that tells why you became what you're doing and why your service or product is important for them to buy. It's not about chronology. I walk on I go to people's About Me pages, and it's like everything that ever happened in their life. Well, I went to high school, I went to college, I did this. And it's like, that's not important, the chronology. It's important that you pull out the pieces that are impactful in your life and write about those. How many people have read those and it's like, okay, let me get to the good part because I'm just kind of reading everything that ever happened in your life.
It's true, yeah. And let me jump in real quick and ask you guys, even if you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments. I'd be curious to know if you've read people's About pages and if there's one that stood out to you. Now, that can go either way. I want to know if you read an About page that stood out to you, and then was it good or did it have opportunities? Opportunities meaning there could be improvements to it, right? Because our sites are never done. A website's never done. It's always a work in progress. And you sometimes just have to start. You just have to put it out there, and then you fine tune as you go along. So that's why I say opportunity versus bad or failed or whatever. So those who are watching, even a replay viewer, let us know if there's been an About page that you've come across that has just caught your attention. And then you let us know, was it good or did it have room for opportunity?
So, I don't know. Okay.
Told you I had homework.
I'm trying to look at the comments and then trying to look at my phone because I got my computer up. That kind of,
yep.
And you've gotten good at doing that, but I'm still trying to toggle that. So the other thing about Me that I find that is a challenge is in your About Me is deciding whether you want to talk about your journey or what you provide now. And that is dependent on your audience because some people want to hear about your journey. Other people just want to know what you're doing, how you came up with this product or service. And so you have to really know your audience. You have to know who you're going to speak to. I find that people that are more business oriented, more profit margin, they just want to know how you came up with the project and what are you doing with it and how you landed it out. People are more service oriented, more like life coaching. They really want to know your story. So it depends on your audience about which way you want to do your About Me. Everyone does. So it's always critical. I go back to you need to know your audience. You got to know who you're targeting when you do your About Me. It's a product and service. I tend to ask people to go a product like a physical product. I tend to ask you to kind of talk about the story of the product and how it came about and that. And if it's more of like services and providing services to people one-on-one, I tell you to kind of tell your story, not your personal story as opposed to your product story. So product stories and personal stories are different. And depending on what you're actually offering, it depends on what you should write about.
And that's a great point to point out there. And Tammy, I don't know, this might help with that question. Otherwise, we'll try to get to it. But Tammy had asked, what do you do if you have different businesses? So, for instance, a lot of us do have multiple businesses. She, for one, has a graphic design company, and then she has with print and online courses, and then a separate website for each one. Or is there another way? So basically, if we have separate businesses, should we have separate websites that have those dedicated About pages to that website?
I always think that whatever website you have, you need to have a dedicated About Me. Yeah. So just let me answer specifically that may help other people. For your life coaching, I would tell your personal story because people want to find out, coach me, and they want to see your story of triumph, trials, and then triumph. And your product story, They want to know if you have a product, a physical product, they want to know how this product came about, why did you make it, and why is your product going to be a solution to the problem that I have that your product is trying to address. So you tell that story. So it's different. So it's kind of hard to put that on one website because then you're kind of confusing your audience. But like I said, always you tell your personal story if it's kind of more like a life coaching, or you're providing that kind of one-on-one service, or even like a group service. But for products, tell the product story. I came up with this product, let's say, a new way to use a car seat because I had to, we found out we were trying to put our kid in a car seat and we came up with this attachment and then we did the modifications. It was easy. We asked other moms, Okay, you talk about taking care of children. Well, I've always loved children. My personal story, I used to be a babysitter. Does that make sense? So when you're articulating yourself, you're speaking to what you're trying to provide, the service you're trying to provide, either service or personal story about me, or a product story about me, or about us.
And that is key, you guys. So I want you to make sure that even if you're watching the replay, I want you to make sure that you can listen to this again afterwards because this is live right now, but you're going to be able to see the replay. It's going to be posted here and it will be posted on the website, on my website, checkwithed.com. But I want you to understand that there's going to be a lot of information here and you may or may not be able to take notes when you're listening to it. You'll be able to come back, but know that whatever you have set in place already, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have it all wrong. That's not what it is. This is all about learning, filtering what you need, and then going and implementing, and then testing and seeing what works. So just understand that even if you're watching the replay, that it's all good knowledge to know and to be able to take little bits and pieces here and there to implement over time. It may not all happen tonight or tomorrow, because let's face it, we have lives and we have schedules. So just keep that in mind. You guys are awesome.
And so, okay, so let's go to our services page, that some of the challenges that I see. When you talk about your services, you don't really have a clear idea of what your service offers. And so you have to be able to clearly, succinctly, within 2 to 3 lines, tell people what your service offers. It can't be this long. Well, I have to tell them all the features and I got to tell them all the things I do and all my background, all my education and all this. Quickly what services that you offer. And they don't want to hear all this other stuff because they won't read it. First of all, they won't read this. It's too much. But then it doesn't give them a clear idea of what you're at. Because remember, all of your content, this is key. I should have said this up front. Your content must solve a problem for someone. If it doesn't solve a problem, and also must tell them that you can solve the problem. It must solve a problem, your product or service. And it also needs to tell people that you have the ability, credentials, experience to solve that problem. Because you can have a product out, and I'm like, well, how do I know you can life coach me? What is it about you? Yeah, you're a life coach, but so what? Have you articulated it in a way that allows me to feel like that you can bring something to my table that you can actually help me deal with my problems? Or is your product, in terms of your product, when you write it, will this actually solve? So you created these wonderful candles. Okay, that's great, but what problem does it solve? Does it diffuse the smells of the bathroom? Everybody else is like that potpourri, that one. I thought it's I think I saw that with you, Ed, that kind of potpourri.
Yes.
That is something nobody else can solve. So you need to be able to make sure that your content articulates that you can solve a problem and that you have the experience or credentials or background to solve it as well.
Yes, and that's a huge one right there. It's like, and you guys, you have to have that experience, right? You don't have to be the expert, meaning every single in and out, because that's what your team is for. That's what your resources are for. But you have to at least know about it, and you have to have experienced it. Especially if you're trying to be, a life coach, you don't want to just put that label on you. You got to know, what directly are you trying to solve? What problem are you directly supposed to solve for them? Or want to solve, I should say.
Yes. What problem do you want to solve? And so what I'm going to be talking about on my webinar is going to be 10 things that people don't do, and then the solutions, because I'm a solutionist. I'm big about solutions. Yeah. And the biggest thing I wanted to get people here today is that your written content does matter. No matter what you may think, that social media, we do videos, it's just quick. everything can't be done in a tweet. Some things have to be articulated, because this is how, if you do a tweet, that means and let's say your business, that means you're looking for the $5 bin. But if you're looking to bring in some coins, some serious coins, you're going to have to get up there to the serious coin bin and actually tell me what you have to offer. You can't write a tweet type, product description or about me if you want people to invest any real dollars into your product or service. So that's where it comes in about being able to write, something. Like I said, this is not a wordsmith. It's about being able to articulate what you have to offer and being able to know if that's not your skill set, find somebody that can help you do it. As business people, and Ed, you know the same thing. I went to one of your webinars. Yeah. I don't try to do everything. Right. What we try to do everything. If you're not a writer, you know you're not a writer, and you know that's not your skill set, find someone that can do it with me or anybody. But the reality is that you need to be able to know your strengths and weaknesses, but there's ways that you can scale your stuff up. I always tell people, go to people's Facebook pages, blogs, websites that you like. Yes. Don't steal their content. Guys, I'm like, oh my God, stop taking people's content and just using this as your own. That's just wrong. Okay? That's just like from a writer who writes people's content. Please do original content, but at least go and see how they succinctly tell their product or service. Find out why you want to go there. Because when you go to websites, you're not looking at only the pictures. You're looking at the content. Most people go to the services, what you're providing, and then who's providing and about me. And so you need to make sure that your services page and your about me or about us page are on point, that they're typed, that they actually really speak to who you are.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's so true. And that's the funny thing. I love that you bring up services and about page, because here's the thing, you guys, and you may or may not be doing this already, but like April was saying earlier too, is that, we can't be all focused on our Facebook page or our Facebook group or our personal profile, because what happens is that's rented space. That's not, we don't own that. We own our website. And with the website, that's where you're driving traffic back to. And so you want to make sure that you're able to get through that kind of funnel. And you want to make sure that your about section on Facebook for your page or your group or whatever, hopefully I still have you guys. I'm going to call back here. But you want to make sure that you drive that traffic back to your website and understand that you drop your about page and your services page in those sections here on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram or whatever. Like, understand that you want to make sure that you do things like that, right? And keep that in mind for that. Perfect. Thank you, Vicky, for letting us know you're still there. Awesome. So we got video back. Perfect. There we go. So just make sure that you guys have in your abouts here on Facebook, in those about sections, look at them to make sure that you're driving traffic to your website and that you have the appropriate links where you need them too. So just keep that in mind. Perfect. Thank you, Tammy. You guys are awesome. Live viewers, replay viewers, I love you guys because you're right on it and you're like, we're still here. I'm still taking notes. This is awesome. Thank you.
So I don't know where we're at, so we can take some questions. Ed, I don't know how you do, when do you want to?
Yeah, so we have a few minutes left with our guest here. If you guys have specific questions, pop them into the comments live. And I really love how some of them might start coming in now, because it's a slight delay, but I really love how you broke down the about and services page. And before, while we're getting you back on, what I was explaining is I love the fact that you brought those up, because when you go to look at Google Analytics for any website, for the most part, about and services are the main pages that people go to. Yeah. And to then also know that if you have a Facebook account, which chances are you guys do because you're watching me here, or you might be watching me on the blog, but you have to understand that do your profiles on social media, drive people back to your website where they can really learn more where your audience is at, right? Like, that's the whole thing, is that social media is just a way to get some attention, but you always need to keep bringing them back to the website. That's the big thing.
Yes. Everything about your content is to drive people to a specific destination that you want them to go. So it can't be random. You have to have in mind, when I write my about me, when I write my services page, where do I want to send the people? Where am I going to send them? You need to know that ahead of time. I'm doing this because I want them to go buy this, read this, be a part of this, connect to this, click to this. You have to know where you want to send them. If you don't know where you want to send them, then your writing is just kind of random.
Yep.
You don't want, you really need to know where you're trying to send people from that page.
Yes, and Tiffany asks, how often would be good to go live about your product or service? I have an answer for that, but I don't know if you have an answer for that too.
You go right ahead, because I'm on content. That's your area. Yeah. I'm getting there, but I'm going to stay in my lane.
Yeah. So you guys, when it comes to going live, I will tell you this. I want you to, if you've never gone live before, I want you to practice going live. But if you're going live on your business page, I want you to understand that with the algorithm changes and the whole thing going on here on Facebook, you have to have a plan for your business page. And I can tell you confidently from my standpoint that the numbers for my page are good, and I don't do any paid ads. This is all organic, and it's because we work together to engage with each other. And I can tell you that the numbers are still good. They're still up. Like, I don't really pay too much attention to the insights, to be honest. Like, I just browse to see if I have green or red and kind of see what's going on. But I will tell you that the numbers are good, and it's because it's organic. I'm not posting a ton. If you look on the page here, you really are only going to see maybe 2 posts a day max. Really, it's 1 post a day, and that's this show. I made it so that think of your Facebook as your storefront window. You only feature your best on there, and you're not trying to clutter it with a ton of stuff, right? You're trying to feature 1 to maybe 3 items a day, if that. Today there was two things on the news feed, because I did the event for today, and then I did the actual live, and you'll see that come up throughout the week. So it's just about testing and understanding your audience and having a plan, right? And so if you're just trying to get comfortable with live, and it's not about business, it's just you going live, I would start with your personal profile. And again, Facebook wants less is more, but they want more quality, right? So it's not just about throwing everything out there. It's about quality content. So hopefully that helps. There's no real right or wrong answer, to be honest. It's about how you engage with people. And like you guys are doing right now, even if you're watching the replay, you guys are showing up, you're delivering by commenting with each other and with us, and you keep that conversation going, and you share out and you show the emotions. Like, all that stuff adds up at the end of the day. And over time, that's what builds your audience, and that's what builds your online presence, okay? And I'm going to kind of browse through these comments real quick. Tammy says, what about blogs? I'm trying to make my content relevant to my product.
Okay, so what I find works best when you're writing blogs, and particularly if you're trying to lead them to a product, is to tell about your experiences and why you came up with the product and why that product is important to you and the people that you've actually let use it. If you just try to write this content that really just says, go to my product and buy it, it doesn't really connect with people. You really have to talk about your experiences. Writing is about experiences. People are drawn into the experience, and your writing needs to give them an experience and tell about your experience, tell about your customer's experience, tell about even your beta test or people that you've had use them if you haven't even came out with it. So you have to really write about the experiences. Your experience that you've had, a successful or a positive experience, will drive them to your product without you having to say, go to my product.
It's so true. I want to get to this question for Nikki. She says, I have a website, but I don't blog or vlog about it on my social media. How do I start that?
Well, the first thing I would do is to make sure that you have, I tell people, don't send people to your website if it's not, I won't say you only have one chance to make a good first impression, but it diminishes over time. If you go there a couple of times and it's not well done, people stop wanting to come. But in terms of a blog, I think blogging is good, but I don't necessarily think you only have to blog. You can write great content on your Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Even the little tags that you put on your tweets, you can use lots of mediums. If you're not a blogger, I tell people, don't try to do what's not your bailiwick. If that's not your thing, don't try to blog. Because if you're not a blogger and you're writing a bunch of stuff, it's just going to make people irritated. Because I get annoyed when I read stuff. It's like, what is this? This doesn't even have anything to do with anything. What are you doing? Or it's just, so that's the first part of it. Number two, if you really do want to try it, I tell people to blog short and sweet, and also blog about things that are in the industry or the things that are around the product that you have. So let's say that you have candles and you're making, I don't know why I always use candles. I don't know. So let's say you're making candles. You can talk about the fact that new candles are coming out, and if you want to get the, different fragrances are coming out, you can talk about even articles that are written about, some of the products that you're using in your candles to give your article beef. And of course you accredit the article, but it also gives them think, oh, they're making this out of soy candles, or they're making this out of this new peppermint oil, and I'm using it in my candle. So it allows you to feed off of other people's content and they get credit for it, but it also asks people, well, if they're using this kind of soy, or they're using this kind of peppermint oil in their candles, so maybe I want to try. And you talk about the new things that's coming out in the industry, and it helps people kind of learn why your product is superior to some of your other products because of your ingredients. Don't always try to write. You can write product descriptions that are more, I use these things because it's important to me to use more healthy things and more organic things. You can start like that, because then it makes it not so hard on you trying to write this whole blog about what you want to say. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I'll also mention, you guys, that when you're thinking about your blog, right, we kind of, there's this kind of this thing about, oh, blog, it's just like, we just cringe, right? Because we think that it has to be all of these posts that have to be, 5 pages long in order to get good SEO, which if you're not familiar, that's called search engine optimization, where you get found on Google. So there is a reason for having a blog on your website, because basically it's kind of, think of it as like your news feed on Facebook, right? You're adding content each time you quote blog, which means that you're providing hopefully value to the online world, which then Google will then pick up based off of those words that you put on the page there, right? So if blogging is not your thing in terms of the standard, write a ton of content for one post, that's okay. What you want to think about is the plan. This goes back to, like you were saying, you can create great posts here on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever, any social media platform. But what I want you to plan here, or think about adding to your plan, is how can you repurpose that content? So that's a big one, because I see so many good, quote, blog posts on Facebook as a status post that you could easily take that content, stick it on your blog, put an image and a nice title, and call it a day. So understand, and there's kind of a thing around that. We're going to end here in just a few minutes, but the thing is like, you may not feel comfortable starting your writing process on a blog, yet you can pick up your phone and you could write 5 paragraphs as a Facebook update. I've done it before, where I thought, whoa, I was going to make only a sentence or two here, and 3, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs later, I call paragraphs like 3 sentences these days. It's here, and I'm like, well, that's way too long for a Facebook post, but guess what? I'm going to copy that, go over to my website, create a blog post, and pop it in there, and then just put a couple items back on Facebook. So understand that whatever you're doing, I want you to look at it as a whole, write it down, pen and paper, and kind of understand, like, here's where I want to be, Facebook. Here's where I have my website. Here's what I talk about. How can I add it over here? And you may not figure it out right away, but at least you start the process and you plant the seed of how can you repurpose your content, because everything that you put out on this via social media, it's almost all gold, whether you know it or not. Your stories, if you're using Instagram stories, 24-hour clips, you're writing those quick 2 sentences on your Facebook post or whatever, that's content that if you look at it from a bigger picture, it could very well be exactly what you needed to do X, Y, Z. So I'm just planting the seed there.
Great seeds. Great.
So, viewers, hang tight. I'm going to let our guests go, and then we'll talk real quick before ending the show. But any other last-minute tips that you have or anything, I'm going to have you make sure to jump into the comments later to add your link and everything to your website and to the webinar so people can find that.
So just basically want to talk about the webinar. You know, it's going to be content that converts, the step-by-step process. You actually, if you register, you get a free ebook. This is going to be a deep dive. In 1 hour, you're going to be able to walk away with at least 5 actionable things that you can do right now that will convert your content. And convert means sales, call to actions, whatever you need. So it's this Thursday at 7 p.m. I want you to be there. And the last thing I just want to say is that, guys, when it comes to content, relax. Yes. Be yourself and trust the fact that you have something to offer. You're not everyone on this live feed. If you hear me, if you don't hear anything else I say, you're carrying something amazing. And that amazing just needs to come out. You just need somebody to believe in you and to support you. And trust me, if you just be yourself, there's someone who's going to love you just the way you are. There's someone who's going to want to buy your product. There's someone that's going to want your service. You just got to stick with it, remain consistent. And over time, like Ed said, he didn't get here to be all Mr. Fancy Smancy, the one that we're all trying to get to. He didn't get here overnight, but with consistency and with an eye towards excellence. I don't believe in perfection, but I do believe in excellence, that ultimately you will get to where you want to go.
I love it. Thank you so much. Like I said, be sure to drop into the comments when you have a second to drop your links and to catch up with people. And I'm going to let you go, and then I'm going to tune back in here with the viewers here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Ed. I really enjoyed myself this evening.
Yes, take care.
All right, bye-bye.
You guys, that is what I'm talking about. That is that ending right there was so special, so special. That's what I want you to understand, and I want you to know, even if you're watching the replay, that's what this show's about. And you know, we talked about it, that this didn't happen overnight, and I realized that I had to trust myself to just do this. You know, I worried about putting a day and a time on this. I worried about going 5 days a week. I mean, that's a lot. That's a huge commitment, from barely doing any lives to doing 5 days a week. Not knowing if I'll have enough to say, not knowing if I'll have enough guests to come on the show. And it's just grown organically. And it's thanks to you guys, replay viewers, live viewers, everyone. Even if you just shared this broadcast, you saw it in your newsfeed and you're like, oh, I like Ed, so I'll just share it. Like, all of that stuff matters. And so you have to understand that not everyone is going to like what you bring to the table, or deserves to have what you have on the table, right? If that part makes sense. But basically the point is like, you can't worry about what other people are going to think in that sense. You have to just say to yourself, this is what I want to do. This is who I am, and just do it. There's a great podcast episode that I listened to this weekend that I'm going to share probably on one of the lives. I'll try to do it this week, but I'll share it because it was one with Angela from CEO of Burberry, who's now retail for Apple. It was a fantastic one, and it talked about that same type of thing, that you have to just be who you are, right? And not try to mold yourself to somebody else of what they expect you to be, because it's just not going to work. So you have to find what works, and that's why I keep going back to that plan and saying, thank you, Whit, that's awesome. And that's why I keep coming back to that plan and saying, like, what's the bigger picture? What's that bigger picture look like for you? You may not figure it out today or tomorrow or next week or this month, but as long as you have that idea of what is the bigger picture and start making your notes, pen and paper, I highly suggest, then you will start to put the pieces together and things will start coming to full swing there. So really understand that. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The pinned comment here has the link to the Start Here page if you're not on my email list, and then it has 1, 2, 3 steps for you to learn more about me and the show and all of that great stuff. So have a fantastic night. Thank you, live viewers as well as replay viewers, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. This episode is sponsored by Stupid Easy. Easily create, share, and sell your online courses. Discover more at stupideasy.com.